Hello folks, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates. I hope the sound is okay. I'm using my Bluetooth headset because I'm having to charge my iPad, so I apologize if there's some sound issues. We shall see. Most of you who've been watching my videos for a long time might recognize this spot. This is St. Joe, Michigan. This is one of my sacred places where I did a big part of my healing process. There's a gathering of Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome YouTube video makers locally here in the next several days, and I was invited to come to that, and I don't know who all's coming, but we're going to get together and hang out. So I'm excited about that. I was watching a video by Karen Smith, unrelated, associate at Family Tree Counseling, and she put 3 new videos recently on the channel, and she was making comments about the pain of her cognitive dissonance, and it just reminded me of how awful that was, of how horrific the cognitive dissonance was that I experienced, and I'm sure many of you experienced as well. So my title is a little exaggerated. As per normal, you're not going to completely eliminate cognitive dissonance. There's a little bit of salesman in me, and I want you guys to click. Oh, you can eliminate cognitive dissonance. Yay, let's click on this one. You can greatly reduce it. That's the good news. So I'm going to share 5 things that I've employed that have helped me to reduce my cognitive dissonance from something that was completely dominating my life to something that is almost non-existent. I have almost 0 cognitive dissonance 15 and a half months later. I know who I am. I know who the borderline narcissist is, and I know what she did, and I know what I did, and I'm crystal clear on who the players were and why they played the parts. I'm not arrogant about it, but I know what happened, and it's come at great price and at great work. It wasn't something that just you sorted through in a month or 2 and got it right. This was something that I've struggled with for so long. And here's 5 things that have worked for me. The first one, I've never heard anybody do before. I made it up. I should get a copyright on this. When I was at my worst, and I was in the treatment center last end of June, early July. Nobody was teaching me about narcissistic abuse or narcissists, and every day my mind would flip-flop. And thank goodness I was listening to a book on the topic of narcissism by Rachel Lerner. The book is called The Object of My Obsession is My Reflection. And the book isn't really about narcissistic abuse per se. It's about all the ins and outs of the various types of narcissists and the games they play. And it was just so helpful for me to have at least one source of explaining to me exactly what happened. Out of that, one night, I needed encouragement, I needed affirmation. I wasn't getting this kind of encouragement from any other source because nobody knew what it was. I went to the art supply section of our group room and I got 4 large pieces of poster board, and I started to just make a list, and I used colored markers and I would alternate the colors. I'll show you what it looks like in a little bit here. And every day when I would have an insight about the nature of this borderline, I would just write down an additional comment. And I filled 4 large poster boards with truths. They're not mean, they're not inaccurate, they are the truth. And I have kept those taped in my closet. They're in my closet at home now. And to this day, I'll be changing my clothes and I'll glance over and read a couple words, and it just gives me affirmation. It went the farthest of anything to clear up my cognitive dissonance. I'm going to show you, I'm going to see if it can zoom in on my phone and show you sort of what it looks like. So that isn't a very good picture, but you get the picture. There's 4 poster boards filled with writing, and I just taped that to my closet wall. And let me share some of the things that I wrote down. And I can't tell you how much it's helped me to see it in writing. This relationship does not serve me. She was the best liar I ever knew. She was a bad cook. She was a fraud. She was, in reality, extremely weak. She projected her unfaithfulness onto me as if I were being unfaithful. She has secured newer narcissistic supplies. She's a hit-and-run driver. She's an abandoner. She's greedy for attention. She's mommy dearest. She's resentful. She's toxic. She's dead to me. She's unfaithful. She's physically abusive. She's untrustworthy. She enjoys torturing me. She's a man hater and a man user. She's financially dependent. She used sex as a tool. She was way worse than any borderline I had ever been in interaction with. She was a porn addict. She duped a treatment center. She was the worst enemy I've ever experienced in my entire life. She's crazy making, she's disloyal, she's cunning, she's baffling, she's self-deluded. She's cruel, she's disrespectful, she's victimy, she's vicious, she's a fool, she's a con, she's a liar, she's the worst human being I've ever known. She's a betrayer, a loser, an alcoholic, she's loveless. She's basically a prostitute. She's a barfly, she had a double life, she's dirty. She is a non-factor, she's filled with shame, she's a borderline, she's a vampire. She's filled with dark secrets. She's a narcissist. She is a pig. She's poor. She's a murderer of my soul. She's an alcoholic. She's boring and repugnant. You get the idea. There's probably 40 other observations that I had, and I don't share those things to be mean. Those are accurate. This is who this person was, a chameleon, somebody who's a codependent, incapable of having empathy. She gave me an opportunity to heal. She was an attention whore, an actress, intrusive, irresponsible with money, dissociative, a rager, and unworthy of me. As I read these things even to you guys, even over a year later, I feel empowered. I don't feel victim-y. I don't feel mean. I feel empowered. I'm telling the truth. And when I go in the closet to get a shirt or a pair of pants, I glance over and I read, she's the worst human being I've ever known. She's a betrayer. She's clueless. She's stubborn. She's somebody who is mean, and she's actually a bad mother. Those things, they remind me, they clear up that fantasy woman who never existed, the country girl with the heart of gold. She never even existed. This person right here, that's who she really is. This is who she's proved herself to be. Now, if you're confused, my brother says you're corn-fused. If you're corn-fused out there about who this person is, because the wounded little kid in you will want to clutch to the fantasy, to the person that didn't exist. Write down their actions, write down their attributes, and make a list and keep it where you can see it every day. I mean, don't put it out in the living room. Be discreet, but put it where you can see it, and just remind yourself how this individual treated you, how they behaved. There's nothing on my list that wasn't true, and there's nothing on there that's mean. And it just reminds me, the best thing that ever happened to me was having this person exit my life, because it has freed me from all of those horrific qualities. So that's the first thing that will help you greatly eliminate your cognitive dissonance. Get some colored pens, get some poster board, and write down the truth, and meditate and study. It's amazing. 15.5 months later, I'll glance over and just read a couple of them, and I'll go, damn right. That's right. That's who she was. I get it. You know, don't let the infantile little boy tell you different. The second tool that'll clear up your cognitive dissonance is this Bluetooth headset. You don't have to use Bluetooth. It's just, I hate those wires. But reading is great, but you can listen to books while you're riding a bicycle, while you're riding a motorcycle, while you're driving in your car, while you're cutting the grass. And so while you're running, while you're exercising. So there's so much time to brainwash yourself out of being brainwashed. Because if you have been involved with a cunning, malignant or covert narcissist, they've got in your head and they've told you a bunch of stuff that wasn't true, and you believe it. And you've got to know the truth. The truth will set you free. I have listened to, my goodness, probably 30, 40 different books on this topic, and of course watched many, many YouTube videos. I bathe my brain in the truth. I listened to the book Psychopath Free by Jackson McKenzie probably 10 times. I'll probably listen to it again. It helps me to hear it again. So you want to get clear on the truth? Feed your brain constantly. If you need to listen to good material that teaches you about your condition and about the condition of the narcissist, 5 hours a day, then do it. There were many days early on in my recovery where I would probably listen 4 or 5 hours a day, and it saved me. The third thing that will help you with your cognitive dissonance issues is it's going to take time. Part of the cognitive dissonance is your processing. I'm going to put this under my shirt. I'm afraid we're going to get distortion. Your processing. I told people that when I went back to work, I had to keep 2 pads of paper in front of me. One was to take notes about the client, and one was if I had a triggering thought about my abuser, I would have to write it down, or I couldn't move on and concentrate on the session. So, but it was processing, and there's no quick and easy way through this. You can use the poster board idea, you can listen to a zillion books, but you're still gonna have to wrestle in your mind with what's true, because these people are so unreal. They're capable of stuff that is so inhuman, it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at all that somebody can look at you and say, I would never cheat on you. It's just not who I am. I've never cheated on anybody. And she did that 30, 40 times and was so believable and was cheating like a bandit the whole time. And she did that strategically just to keep me from ever thinking about it. How does somebody have that much guile and cunning? So write the stuff down, think on it. You're going to do some obsessing. Part of cognitive dissonance is just processing. And just know that it's going to take some time. You just don't want to get stuck and still be processing 2 years later. It's more something that happens in the first, I don't know, oh, a ship coming under the bridge. It should be more happening in the first 9 months, and if you're blessed and able to really do a lot of effective treatment and therapy, then it's something that you'll be headed out of for the most part after that. The fourth thing that has helped me is just doing the healing work on the wounded little infant inside me. I was able to go see my healing massage therapist today, Deb Ward, and as I was on the table, my little infant guy came out, and I said, there's so many memories here in St. Joe from last year that are so sad. I can almost see a frame of a swing where I proposed to this woman the first time about 7, 8 years ago. So everywhere I look, there's a memory, many of them from last year, where I was just destroyed. And what has really healed me is I cried through that wounded little boy and that infant, and just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And now I'm more of a man. I'm not driven by that shattered little infant. He's not running my life anymore. The ship got through and beeped its horn, and now the bridge is going back down. I wish I could show you that. So it's about healing the wounded little kid inside of you, and that's the key to having a different part of yourself dominate your personality. Cognitive dissonance is when 1 minute you're a 6-month-old and the next minute you're a 45-year-old, and you flip back and forth. But when you've healed, the 6-month-old, that rarely happens. It still happens. It happened to me today. And instead of crying for the whole hour and a half, I cried for about 2 minutes. The fifth thing that I do that has helped with my cognitive dissonance healing, and that is, sorry about this, no contact. You want to screw up your mind? You want to struggle with cognitive dissonance? I'll tell you how to do it. Go spend time with that mind-fucking manipulative, vile, disgusting, rude, disrespectful, twisted son of a gun, and let him get in your head. Let her get in your head. And you'll have a bad case of relapse with cognitive dissonance, because they can be so convincing. They can seem so humble. I had a lady come in this week, and she had gotten back involved with communicating with her narcissist, and she lobbed a tennis ball over to him and waited for a reply, and he came across with one that was brilliant. I mean, a panel of 100 world-class narcissists could have spent a week on what would be a good reply, and they'd have come up with what this guy came up with. And did it cause her mind to tilt? Of course it did, because she's outgunned, she's outmatched. You've spent a lot of months healing your mind. You can go through, destroy months of therapy in an evening by re-engaging with the narcissist. When somebody's in a cult, what's the most important thing? Keep them away from the cult members and the cult leader. If they get around the cult leader and the cult members, they're going to be right back in it. And that's what we're like. So get your colored pens, write down the truth, tape it on the closet wall, get a Bluetooth headset and listen to every good book there is and every good YouTube video you can find about the nature of this condition. Understand that it'll take time. Understand that part of cognitive dissonance is just you processing through your situation. Write it down, do some journaling. Understand that you're going to have to do a whole lot of crying, because what we're trying to do, we're trying to heal the little kid inside of you, or for us really primitive people, the infant inside of us. And finally, stay the heck away from the cancer, the poison, the person who is the enemy of your soul, who has a history of confusing you, of making a lie sound like the truth, and making the truth sound like it's not true. If you let that person into your ear, they're going to get in your head, and you're going to be spiraling in really painful cognitive dissonance for a long time. So those are 5 things that I do. I'm going to go have dinner at one of my favorite restaurants with one of my favorite recovering people from Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome. I love life, and I love you guys, and I hope this video has been helpful. Join our YouTube channel, Family Tree Counseling, on YouTube. And if you are struggling with abandonment issues, which most of us do, who've been discarded real brutally, then my book about abandonment issues that you can get at familytreecounseling.com can help you a lot. I wish you peace, my friends. I wish you peace of mind. I wish you clarity. I wish that you would know who you are, where you came from, who this person is, and what they did, because the truth will set you free. God bless you. Thanks for watching.